Rain was beating Bayview like it had a grudge. I was 8, my shirt was off, and wrapped around 2 newborns I'd named Nova and Eden, and I was running for the alley behind the glass tower where Kestrel Holdings kept its shiny conscience, you know what I mean? The place where people had told me no so many times, it almost stopped stinging, and then a black Mercedes braked so hard, I thought the street hiccuped. The door flew open, and Cole Whitman stepped into the storm like a man who finally realized umbrellas were lies. I slid through the hole in the condemned wall, the cardboard shelter breathing damp against my back, lit a candle, warmed a bottle, told my girls to hang on while I pretended my hands weren't shaking. And when I turned, Cole was in the opening, soaked, careful palms up like he knew sudden moves would spook me. And then he saw it, the crooked K burned into my arm, the same hook-ended K that wrapped around Kestrel's logo 20 stories high. He didn't do the rich man pity head tilt. He looked like someone who'd walked into a room he paid other people to keep clean, and finally smelled the truth, and I heard my own voice come out older than me did. "You come to take me back," and he said, "No, I want to help." And I said, "Why now? You've walked past me for 3 years." And the rain answered for him with that hiss it does when God turns the volume up, and he shrugged out of his coat and handed it over like an apology you could wear, not a donation, not a photo op, just a coat. "My name's Malik." I said, "These are Nova and Eden, my daughters," and the word landed right in the middle of my chest, where fear usually sleeps, and he nodded like the syllables weighed what they should. Then he asked if I knew someone named Victor Hale, and the way his mouth shaped the name told me he already knew. He didn't want my answer. I said, "He's the one who killed my mom. Her name was Lena, she did numbers at Kestrel, and found money sneaking places it didn't belong. Then she disappeared, and before they sent me to the group home, he pressed a hot steel stamp into my arm and said I belonged to Kestrel, now that one day he'd make me useful." And Cole didn't argue, didn't soften it. He just swallowed like the truth had edges. He said, "Tonight, right now, come with me." And I watched Nova's eyelids flutter and Eden's tiny fist curl around my finger. And I told him, "If this is a trick, you're not the one who pays, they are." And he said, "If it's a trick, it's on me, but it isn't." And for some reason that stuck, maybe because he kept glancing at the K, like it was burned into him too, so we took what I owned. 2 bottles, a unicorn blanket, faded to ghosts, a library card, a photo of Mom smiling like summer, and the old Android, where every 72 hours I punched a code into a Deadman app I wrote on a public Chromebook, so that if anything happened, if I missed the window, every file and diagram would fly to reporters, and the state AG simple logic. "If then send my mom" used to say, "Code is a promise you can keep to yourself when nobody else keeps theirs." Cole's house had a foyer that made people whisper, and a kitchen that didn't know what crumbs were. He turned the oven low. Warmed towels followed the formula box like a spell. He was scared to mess up. And when Nova sighed and Eden went quiet, I felt my shoulders drop from my ears for the first time in months, which is how long fear had been living in my neck. And he said, 10 minutes office files, okay? And I said, okay out loud, while thinking, if you run, I'm taking your car. Yeah, that happened. But he didn't run. He opened a folder he'd paid not to see and found the rot everybody else smelled a long time ago. I'd been burping Nova at the window when I saw them, the moving shadows where a hedge should be. Just a hedge, raincoats that fit like they were tailored to hide guns, radios, kissing collars, and I told him he didn't need to say, not now. He needed to say they're already here, because Victor doesn't wait. When he wants something, he knows your dentist, your vacation, your toothbrush brand. He's had 20 years inside your calendar. And even as I said it, there was a polite tap at the front door, and then the slow push that says the tap was a joke, and I handed him back his own eyes. We can run, but he'll know where. And Cole handed me his phone with his lawyer's number on the screen and said, "If this goes sideways, keep calling till he answers." And I said, "It isn't going sideways, it's going straight through, but I'm ready." We walked into a living room so expensive it could bury a secret in the rug pile, and Victor was there in a dry overcoat, like the rain. Knew better, 3 men behind him, a smile for a painting that didn't belong to him, but probably did in some way, and he said, "Cole, like a toast. Where's the boy from our future projects? Where are the babies?" And Cole said, "You mean the child you branded like cattle?" And the way he said branded made the air heavier. And Victor did that thing with words men like him do, asset tracking. "Untapped potential language is a prism, old friend." And Cole said, "Don't call me that. You burned your logo into a kid and built a pipeline that steals children and launders them through camps and clinics so they can generate value." And Victor shrugged the kind of shrug that says, "I've been paid to ignore the price tag." Then he pulled a pistol like it was a pen and asked for me and the girls. I stepped where he could see me, the phone already recording the red dot. A little heartbeat. I missed her. "Hale, did you miss me?" And he didn't look at me, he looked at my daughters. And that's when hate bloomed clean and bright in my chest. No rust, no dust, just heat. And I raised the phone and told him to smile for the police because the sirens start as rumor, and then they become hope, and then they become loud. And he lifted the gun, and Cole didn't step back. "Shoot," he said, voice steady like a table leg. "But just so you know, this is already in my lawyer's inbox, and on a state server, you won't outrun it." And the sirens climbed the street, and the men behind Victor shifted like they had to be ready to pick up whatever he dropped, and pride hates the red light of a camera. So he tucked the pistol back and smoothed his sleeve like linen matters. "You have no idea what you've done," he said. "You've made enemies whose names you don't know. Start a list," I told him, "spell Kestrel with a K, and hook the ends like they taught you." And the door opened, the professional way real law opens doors. Hands up, hands visible, step left. "Don't be stupid." And Victor tried to wear that smile all the way out the door, but it slid off. 6 months is a long time when you're measuring it in naps and bottles and court dates. The mansion learned how to breathe. There were magnets shaped like fruit, holding crayon drawings on stainless steel toy cars parked on marble that didn't feel cold anymore. Nova learned to pull up, and Eden learned to steal socks. I learned that sleep can be trusted again, and Cole's temples went silver, and he stopped wearing watches in the house like time had to earn its keep. The feds froze what they had to, and he signed away what he couldn't justify, kept the beds, kept tuition, let the rest go because he wanted a mirror he could look into without holding his breath. And Victor went where he should have gone. Life, no streaming deal, 47 kids pulled from 7 states, every one of them with some version of that K, every one of them learning to make eye contact with something that wasn't danger. Not every story found a bow, some families found graves or empty files. Some donors kept their tuxedos and never saw a courtroom, yeah. That's America. And I got a tattoo for my 9th birthday, a tree inked over the K, so the roots tangled with the old scar, and fed the trunk so the past becomes soil, not shackles. Cole offered the best surgeon money can buy to erase it, make it smooth, pretend it never happened. And I told him, no, I don't want to forget. I want to grow through it. People ask how a kid like me built a trap like that Dead Man app, and the answer is a kitchen table, a cheap laptop, and a mom who said logic is a ladder. You climb it step by step, and it doesn't care how scared you are. You line up your if-thens, and one day justice finally runs. Look, I'm not a genius. I was scared, but scared kids can do math too. The day the social worker called, we were in the yard. Grass on Cole's jeans, like war paint. Nova elbow deep in dirt. Eden throwing whatever she could lift. And when Marissa said, "It's official," I forgot how to breathe. And then I cried. Cole cried too, and I'm not embarrassed, holding it in for years. is what made me weak, letting it out. Made space for something else. Here's where I could tie it up, neat redemption justice. The system works, and sometimes it does, but there are board members skiing on weekends who haven't answered a subpoena. There are foundations with gala themes like hope and child and future that haven't returned. The checks they washed. There are marks you can't see, contracts and loans and policies that brand kids with outcomes before they ever pick a favorite color. So I tell the story the way it happened, rain. In your eyes, 2 lives against your chest. A man with a coat who can drive past or step inside. And I ask the question. I asked him, why now? Why do we only move when the fire touches us? And maybe that's the point. Maybe the good thing is contagious if one person stops pretending not to see. If you were with me this far, tell me what you think. In the comments, did Cole earn redemption or just pay a bill that was overdue? Do you call this justice when some of the smiling people never face a judge? Have you ever looked away until it got personal? And what pulled your eyes back? Right, wrong, gray, in between? I want to hear your story. Like and subscribe if this hit you. Share it with someone who thinks power always wins. And tell me what justice should look like the next time a kid with a mark asks for help.